So welcome to the USS ORLECK. We're in CIC, and we have a visitor here who worked on the ORLECK in the early 60s.
Yes. Mid-63 to March of 65. Glenn Walling, ETR-3. My specialty, even though I have the radar designation, was crypto communications.
And where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Council Bluffs, Iowa. So,
and what have you done all these years in between?
A lot. I worked in the gaming industry in Las Vegas. I had an office for mortgages. I've done quite a few things since I left the Navy. And well, in fact, I worked for Rockwell in down in California, still in electronics there, and I was the technician that got to do all of the troubleshooting, try to figure out what happened in one of the electronics cabinets that burned up in the Apollo fire at Cape Canaveral.
Wow. So is this the first time you've been back to the ORLECK?
Yes, almost 50 years.
And what years did you serve again? I
first came aboard when the ship was in Fram, and that was the summer of 63. In summer of 64, I extended a year so I could go overseas on the ORLECK, and not long after that, one of my girlfriends from back home came out to California, and we ended up getting married, and here I had to go overseas right away, so that was kind of fun. But we got overseas in the summer of 64, and we spent 30 days in Yokosuka. I can remember when we were pulled away from the pier, we got out into the harbor, and we started cranking up real fast. And by the time we got through the breakwater, we were almost top speed. We were up to 30 knots going through the breakwater, pretty close to it. I turned to the guys in the ET crew and I said, you know, something's going on. Something's happened someplace, and we're heading there. They just said, oh, Wally, you're full of baloney. That's not the word they used, but about an hour out to sea, Captain Tesh came up on the 1MC and he said the Maddox and the Turner Joy had been attacked in the Gulf of Tonkin, and we were proceeding there expeditiously. That's the first time I ever heard the word, but I've never forgotten it. We slowed down off of Okinawa to top off the tanks, and we proceeded right straight into Point Yankee. We were pretty much greeted by two VCPT boats that followed us around for a couple of days. We immediately went to GQ. I think we were at full GQ for about 24 hours, and then we relaxed and then started going about regular ship's business. The PT boats apparently decided not to fire on us. I later went to work for Lockheed after I got out of the Navy, Memory Corps Division, and one of the ladies in our lab, her husband was on the Maddox when that happened, and he said he could hear the torpedoes going past the ship because he was one of the firemen, and he said that the captain of the Maddox actually took the helm himself and guided that ship.
How did it feel when you first stepped on board this morning?
A wave of nostalgia, serious, and a swelling in my chest.
How about
a sense of pride?
Great.
And memories just started coming back. A lot of the crew members, a lot of the people that I was close to. I remember in particular Captain Tesh. Awesome guy. Good leader.
So, did it feel the same? The smell, the feel?
No, it's a little musty.
Yeah, a little musty.
It doesn't smell as clean, but it's musty.
Yeah.
It has a musty smell to it now. But
a lot of folks say, you know, it still has that same general smell and ambiance to it, like diesel fuel or something.
Didn't notice that.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. We got it all off then.
Yeah. Boy.
What was the first area you were interested in looking at?
Oh, I wanted to see the ET shack. That was number one. Then, of course, I had to go up to Radio Central. And I remember one night steaming around Point Yankee. I thought we were steaming around Point Yankee. I came up here to CIC, and I took a look at one of the repeaters, and I saw where we were located, and I thought, what the heck are we doing way up here? Of course, it was a different four-letter word. And one of the officers did this, and that was the end of that little interview. I found out later through talking to some of the guys in some of the radarmen and reading in the Stars and Stripes, that was we were up off the coast of North Vietnam, and it appears that our purpose in being up there was to down any flyers that may have been crippled and managed to make it out to sea. It was our job to pick them up. That was the night of the first airstrikes against Hanoi. I don't remember if that was in August of '64, but it seems like it was August of '64. I remember my first impressions of the ship. When I checked in with the, it was at night, and the ship's crew was staying in barracks there in Long Beach. I came walking up the stairs, and I heard a familiar voice, John Little. And I said, "Little John, is that you?" And he recognized my voice. Had a little bit of a reunion. We had served someplace else together. I can't remember if it was ET school up in San Francisco, or if it might have been over in Stockton before I went to school. But that was a little bit of a reunion. And the next morning we had to go over to the pier and start working on it, because she was in Fram at the time. And I took a look at what this ship looked like. I got up on the pier and I walked from stem to stern, and I could not believe my eyes. There wasn't anything on this ship above the main deck. And went back down and joined the guys down on the pier, and we went through our JFKs, and then we were all assigned different places to go to work. And somebody put a fire extinguisher in my hand and said, "There's a guy welding someplace," and I can't remember where it was. And I went up and I stood a fire guard for him in case some sparks caused a fire of some type. Then on another occasion, they put a chipping hammer in my hand, and I went down into the bilges and chipped paint. And I have a partial disability on that because I've lost a lot of hearing in my right-handed ear. But this is quite an experience. Brings back a lot of memories. So one morning, just a few days before we were heading out to sea, or heading overseas, in fact, Joe Saskin and I had the duty that night. Captain Tesh dropped by the electronics shop, and he said, "I want an antenna on the mast tomorrow morning that'll provide TV for the crew." And he turned around and took off. And that night after dark, Joe and I went around and scouted around, and we found an antenna that was suitable for TV. And we brought it back to the ET shop. We sanded it down, reassembled it, repainted it, and we had it on the mast in the morning. Captain immediately spotted it, and he walked by the ET shop on the way up to the bridge, and he said, "Thanks, guys." But we had TV as a result of the captain telling us to do that. It's a little bit more involved story. Long Beach Shipyard Security came looking down the piers, looking to see what happened to the communications antenna that had been on the comm building. So anyway, we got what the captain wanted. Another neat thing about my tour on the Orlek, in November of '64, we were steaming around Point Yankee, and come here, Glenn. Come here. Come on over here. Come on. Yes. November the 18th, 1964, I got notification that this guy was born in Omaha. And we also got word that Richard Kelly's son was born on the same day, and Kelly was my best friend in the electronics gang. It was really kind of neat. Kelly and I were really close, and we both had boys on the same day. And this is my boy, Kelly. I can't believe I'm actually here. I remember one time in some rough seas, I was up here, I was up here, and I was taking pictures of waves coming over the bow, because I just thought it was pretty neat. And I saw one coming, and I thought, that's going to be a good one. So I waited until the waves got pretty much over the front there. I clicked the picture, and it came out great, a great picture, but I got soaked. That wave was bigger than I thought it was going to be. But here I am up on the O2 level, and it's, I got wet from that wave. So. You guys have made me feel so honored to to be here, helping me to appreciate my past and my time aboard this ship, and being able to share that honor with my son, who will now share it with his sons and his grandchildren, and the feelings of reverence, I guess you might say, that the people from England, as they took time to listen to me and urge me to share some of the stories. It was very, very nice. I really appreciate the opportunity to do this.
Yeah, and thank you to you gentlemen who steward the ship now, and it's a good thing you've done. I've heard these stories. My dad's been telling me these stories for all my life, and to finally be here and share his experience and put hands on everything has just been it's been a wonderful thing, and I appreciate it. It's been an honor and a privilege. Absolutely.